This in there for life. I'm on this for life, nigga. This is blow. And your mother ride. It go a class for you, my nigga. 140 for the road. The world turned its back over. I'm a criminal. We got soldiers. He got soldiers, but I got different ones. Hey, hell with that, I tell you what. Don't pray for nothing. Send a curse. We can't forgive us for forbidden. Remain in the trenches. Trust in the Lord. Oh, please forgive me for the times that I did. If rain is given, have your respect to your prince. Be about your business. This loyalty to death sentence. Look, trying to pick up with a blind foot. They said every minute mansions. I'm just grinding for my time share. The devils ain't playing fair. They hunt you like red pepper. But ain't no getting out the game like you munching. You take that office a Dundee. They try to deal death to a priest. You won't make it out in one piece. So you can stand. Just make sure you got the heart. Say your name 3 times. It is death to us partner. So how you feel about this truth I done show you? You acting like you think that nigga. I should won't. Even your own people go this show. And the Lord said they hate you for my name. So you better keep it on. Ain't no more guessing. Ain't no more questions. Make sure my election till I'm tucked away like George did. Murder for capital I's. Murder at the Capitol. The world in the name. We like fuck em. Raise it. I'll pity those watching life as it goes by. Been giving mercy in this life. I don't know why. And Post Smoke never tried over it. They dead on my brother be the dead. It's all out on the phone. Salute my nigga. Salute my nigga. Like how you stay focused. I told him I'm motivated cause of you, my nigga. Brotherhoods and weapons. Still got weapons on the scene. And I never do my niggas like Bishop did right here. Never mind in all beliefs. They under anesthesia. Shorty say she leave it. Said she wanna let that love go. So I let that love go. But if I bring you to my bed, that's a blood open. So, how you feel about this truth by the show? You take it like you think, nigga. I should want. Even your own people go this home. And the Lord said they hate you for my name, so you better keep it on. Yeah.
Shalom, Israel, with the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the great commanding General Yohanan. Tonight is Tuesday Brotherhood class, and the title of this class is Brothers of Christ and Brothers of Men. So, is anybody, first of all, we're going to start it off, is any questions in the room? Any questions in the room? Any questions whatsoever? Okay. If it's questions online, type them in. Lord willing, we'll be able to answer them. So, brothers of Christ and brothers of men. Who knows what it means to follow Christ? Everybody says, Christ is, everybody says that they believe and that they have faith and that they have a relationship with God and this, that, and the third. But what does it mean to follow Christ according to the Bible?
To keep the commandments.
To keep the commandments, right? Give her a hand. Christ came to show us the spirit of keeping the commandments, the spirit of the law. Because we had the law before Christ, but Christ was such an exceptional brother that he sacrificed himself for all of us. Now, there's the spirit of those that say they follow Christ but do not follow Christ. They don't. How do I say it? They don't acknowledge his sacrifice because they don't do what he says. They just go off what they believe and what they've learned through customs of men. Let me get the book of John chapter 4 verse 22 if I could. And I'm going to send you, Officer Ram, if I may, I'm going to send you this article I got. I'm going to send you this article if you could. Just send it to the young man. Read that for me whenever you got it.
24, right?
John chapter 4, verse 22. Right. Yeah, hold it.
Check. Ye worship, ye know not what we.
Ye worship, ye know not what. Meaning, people now in this society, they don't know what they worship. You hear all these sayings that people have, but they don't know where, and customs that they have, but they don't know where they get them, and they don't know that they are falling into a trap set up by the oppressor that's thousands of years old, that gets them to participate in the worship of other gods unknowingly. Keep going.
We know what we worship.
We know what we worship. We know what we worship here. Here in the truth, we worship Christ, the Most High, and follow Christ. That's because we understand what the actual meaning of the scriptures is saying. We're not going off of just vain philosophies and doctrines. If I could, I'm gonna send this article to you right now, sir. Give me 1 second. And while I'm doing this, if you could, give me Deuteronomy 5 and 7, Baba Kasha.
Deuteronomy 5, chapter 7.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt have none other gods before me.
Thou shalt have none other gods before me. Who could tell me what that means? Go ahead, give me a shout out.
Don't worship other gods.
In the mic, if you could.
Don't worship other gods.
Yes, exactly. Don't worship other gods. But what does it mean before me?
In his presence.
Correct. Give him a hand. Don't worship other gods. The God of the Bible is a jealous God. He's a jealous God. Like, he can't just give you everything and then you give all the credit to somebody else and expect him to, be cool with that. You gotta acknowledge him, follow what he says, and do as he says. If you could, yeah, you got those, sir? No.
Text?
Yeah, through text. Okay. Double check. Bear with me online, please. Baba Kasha. If you got questions, type them in. Let's see. So who, just off the top, who thinks they understand what it is? Where did birthdays come from? Who knows about birthdays?
It was from other.
So let me start off like this. Is there anything wrong with celebrating birthdays? Give it a mic.
It's nothing wrong with celebrating birthdays
Okay. Why do you think that?
because it's some people that will celebrate a birthday because they think they're right. It's to celebrate birthdays of that person's date of birth.
Okay. You think it would, and you think it's just just a day to acknowledge them and just enjoy the presence, right?
Yes.
And be a friend to them, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I thought the same thing for a while, but we're gonna read a little bit on the history of birthdays and how we came to understand what they mean today and what they started off meaning. So whenever you get that, sir, if you could just let him see it, or you can hold it down. But let me get the book of 1 Corinthians 12 and 2, and just hold that for me for a second, Baba Kasha. And that's a very good answer too, by the way. That's the answer I would expect you to say, and there's nothing wrong with that answer.
Where am I starting from?
Start on the first one, just read the title, and then go to number one, or not number two. It's on the third. Somebody's number. You might go
I see.
to after the title. Baruch Hashem.
This article is
Yeah, how
This article is from Pump It Up. How did the tradition of birthdays begin?
So we're talking about the tradition of birthdays and how they began.
The second point is it all started with the Egyptians. Scholars who study.
So hold on. Now, it also, it's like if I make so, it all started with the Egyptians. Who in here knows our relationship historically with the Egyptians? Go ahead. Get the mic if you could.
They had us in bondage.
That is correct. They had us in captivity. We were enslaved to the Egyptians. And we have a high holy day coming up where we celebrate the Most High recompensing these Egyptians that had us in captivity. That's the Passover. The Passover is a celebration of the destruction of our enemies. And we, just as the Lord toppled the great Egyptian empire, we patiently wait for him to topple Babylon, America, as people will call it today, the American empire. And that's why celebrating the Passover is so pivotal and so important. And that is the significance of it. Keep going from Yaakov Shah.
It all started with the Egyptians. Scholars who study the Bible say that the earliest mentions of a birthday was about 3000 BCE.
Now we have to, Haslak, if I may, we got to understand when it says these scholars. We have to understand the context of what we're reading, where these people get their information from. These scholars that study the Bible are theologians and people that are not certified priests in the Isupk. So we have to understand that and before we read, just so we can get some context. Keep going on.
And was in reference to a Pharaoh's birthday. But further study implies that this was not their birth into the world.
So further study implies that these scholars were incorrect. It wasn't about Pharaoh being born into the world. His physical birth is what it's saying. Keep going.
But their birth as a god.
But their birth as a what?
A god.
As a what?
A god.
But their birth as a god. So there's the first birthdays was not about Pharaoh being born as a being. It was about him being born as a god. Keep going.
When Egyptians, pharaohs were crowned in ancient Egypt, they were considered to have transformed into gods.
So when pharaohs were crowned in Egypt, when they were deemed the pharaoh, they then were considered to be a god. So the history is telling us that the first birthday that was celebrated was about pharaohs being crowned as gods. It wasn't about them, just being born and, being just, celebrating their day because everybody should get their day. It was about them being a god. And we just read in Deuteronomy that the Lord said, "Thou shalt have no gods before me, no other gods before me." So the celebration of the original birthday comes from the celebration of pharaohs being crowned and deeming themselves gods. Keep going. You had something you wanted to answer?
You finna read that part.
Keep going.
Satanic Bible.
This was a moment in their lives that became more important than even their physical birth.
So this is saying the first birthday was not about a physical birth. It was about them being born as gods, reigning over the people and exalting themselves as a god. Have you ever heard that before? Right, and that's good. That's good, because you would understand that when every time you celebrate somebody's birthday, you don't knowingly think that you're saying that this person is a god. You don't knowingly think that, you know what, I'm going to give this whole day to this person and they should be worshipped and we should shower them with presents because they are a god. You don't, that doesn't come into your mind. But because of how birthdays have transformed throughout the years and become something new, they don't have that same meaning to you, but this is what they are rooted in. They're rooted in the Egyptians being crowned as gods. You had something you want to go somewhere?
Con, this is to add to your point, this book is called, this is the Satanic Bible by Anton Sandor LaVey. This is page 96. The highest of all holidays in the Satanic religion is the date of one's birth.
Damn, hold on, could you read that again one more time, please, sir?
Con, the highest of all holidays in the Satanic religion is the date of one's birth.
Now, how many of us consider ourselves Satanists in him? Like, we know, none of us would have, but all of us at one point have celebrated a birthday. We have all celebrated a birthday. But the people that are literally out there worshiping Satan, they over there drinking blood. You know what I'm saying? They over there got the little blood drops on their teeth and fangs. Like, remember Blade? The party that Blade was in, that's what they doing. Right. Are you in the party where Blade killed all them people at? Like, and this is what this is saying. They saying, the highest day to them is birthdays. And they over there drinking blood and being, all manners of abomination, walking on their hands, backwards, just doing everything abominable under the sun. So like you said.
All right, come. This is in direct contradiction to the holy of holy days of other religions, which deify a particular God who has been created in an anthropomorphic form of their own image, thereby showing that the ego is not really buried. The Satanist feels, why not really be honest? And if you are going to create a God in your image, why not create that God as yourself? Every man is a God if he chooses to recognize himself as one. So,
if I may, sir, that's so heavy right there, because that is literally the spirit of men. That's the other spirit. If you are thinking of yourself as a God, you are a brother of man. That you are a brother of men, because they think themselves to be up there with God. That's why you see these skyscrapers. That's why they got these downtown high rises. Esau wants to be up there higher than everybody else because they think that they are God. They want to look down upon everybody all day, and they want to see, and they want to feel like they control you. They control where you live, they control what you eat, they control what you buy, they control what you wear. And that's because they believe themselves to be gods. And then they orchestrate this whole calendar system up for you and how to follow them. And in following them, you end up falling into the trap of worshiping other gods, essentially worshiping them.
Okay, I'm going to continue reading. So, the Satanist celebrates his own birthday as the most important holiday of the year. I'm going to skip down to this last little piece at the bottom of the page. It said, you should give yourself a pat on the back, buy yourself whatever you want, treat yourself like the king or god that you are, and generally celebrate your birthday with as much pomp and ceremony as possible. And that's the mindset of a Satanist.
Hey, Salaki, my man, what's the title of that book again, son?
The Satanic Bible.
That is the Satanic Bible. The Satanic Bible. But everybody's gonna say, you know, hey, I follow Christ, you know, I believe in God, and you got that precept for me out? The Corinthians?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you could bring that out, 1 Corinthians 12 and 2, I believe. Because this is the trap of America, and that's the strength of Esau. He is a cunning hunter, and he is hunting us down physically every day, and he is hunting us down mentally every day. Hey, get that precept for me when you could, if you got it.
1 Corinthians 12 and 2, chapter 12, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
Ye know that ye were Gentiles.
Ye know that you were what?
Gentiles.
That you were what?
Gentiles.
Who can tell me what Gentiles mean?
Ain't it the other nation?
Go ahead.
Ain't it the other nations?
In the mic.
Other nations.
Okay. That is correct. Now, how can you be the other nations? Because it says, ye know that ye were Gentiles. So can you be a nation and then change from that nation? Like, right? Can you be Chinese and then become?
No, also.
So what is it saying right here?
That they were with the other nations at the time and transferred to
When you say with them, what do you mean?
celebrating what they celebrate.
Okay, I'll take that. You were keeping their customs. You were doing as they did. So essentially, like you said, you were celebrating what they were celebrating. Keep going.
Carried away unto these dumb idols.
Unto these what?
Dumb idols.
Now, how many of us believe like that? Whoever thought that they were keeping a satanic tradition out here? That's the dumb idols that the scriptures are referencing right here. We were Gentiles, but we are no longer Gentiles because we keep the law, statutes, and commandments. We came back to our heritage and our culture. We understand that this book is our records and doesn't belong to anybody else. And we have to understand that the heathens and the Gentiles, these other nations, they are ruling over us because we disobeyed the Lord. And we were carried away by them. We were following their traditions. And one of their traditions that we just read in the Satanic Bible, their highest tradition is birthday. And that's what you hear. That's I mean, you can't go anywhere without hearing, hey, it's such and such birthday tomorrow. You know, they pinning the dollars on their jackets, walking through the club saying you should give me something. You don't even know them. You never even met this person in your life, but they want something from you. That's because they are in the spirit of being another God. They are in that spirit whether they actively know it or not, because they are practicing a satanic tradition, the highest satanic tradition. Keep going, August. More on that?
Sure. Even as ye were led.
Even as ye were led. We were in the world at one point. We used to celebrate Thanksgiving. But now we understand, and we were Gentiles when we did it, because we didn't understand that it was about them killing our brothers. It was about we celebrated a holiday that meant they killed millions of our brothers, of our native Indian brothers that were here before them. And the oppressor is so prideful and so, boastful with it that they call it Thanksgiving. Thanks for giving it up to us. Nobody gave them anything, they stole it. But they call it Thanksgiving, and they get us to celebrate it with them because we were carried away by dumb idols. We followed these traditions of men. We were brothers of the white man. That's what it means to be a Gentile. You were a brethren to them. You weren't a brethren to Christ. You were following after their traditions. If you could, go back to the article for me, Baba Kashak. Where you at? Okay. His phone locked? Okay. So while he's getting that, does that make sense to you? Okay. Did you ever do you want to worship Satan? Hey, give her a hand. And we have to remove the lens of that we understood everything. Because look at the condition of us and look at the condition of our brothers and sisters. We are in deplorable conditions. At any day, we could worry about our brother, our son, or our daughter being killed, or them being incarcerated for indefinite amounts of time. That's because we don't rule in this place, and because we continue to serve these dumb idols. Like when are we gonna care so much about each other that we try to understand that, hey, we need to separate from these people. We need to separate from these damn people. Damn Asians. Damn East Indians. These people, they got us celebrate. Like, we walk around here celebrating St. Patty's Day.
Damn.
Like, we don't even know who St. Patty's Day is, but we so thirsty and happy to follow after these dumb idols that we'll walk around with green hair. We'll walk around and do whatever they tell us to do and condemn our brothers and sisters that tell us not to. And that same condemnation is what they did to Christ too. Why do you think they killed Christ? Because he told them to don't go in the way of the Gentiles. Don't follow after them. And following after them, you're gonna follow after dumb idols. You're gonna be celebrating the highest satanic day. Keep going on. Oh, shut up.
All right. It's from the pumpitupparty.com. Pagans, such as the ancient Greeks, believed that each person had a spirit that was present on the day of his or her birth.
Pagans. What does pagan mean? Anybody know what pagan means? Look it up for me. Look up pagan. Pagans. Has anybody ever heard that term before? Pagan? Pagan. Never heard it? You heard something like it? What you think it means?
People like pagan people, something like that.
Okay. We're gonna look it up and we're gonna find out. Go ahead, Al.
A person holding religions beliefs other than those of the main world religions.
Keep going. What are you looking up on? Is this Merriam?
Or just dictionary.
Dictionary.com?
Well, just Googled it, pagans.
Okay. Scroll down. I'm looking for the one, paganism is a term. You got that? Right. But paganism, look up paganism. Try paganism.
Is a term first used.
Yep, keep going.
Is a term first used pejoratively in the 4th century by early Christians.
By who?
By early Christians.
Okay.
For people in the Roman Empire who practiced polytheism.
So, paganism, these Christians that they're talking about now, these Christians are not today's Christians. These Christians are those that followed Christ. So followers of Christ gave this term to people in the Roman Empire. So these are white people. These are white people, Romans, Greco-Romans, who practice polytheism. Anybody know what polytheism means? Go ahead, sir.
Worship of more than one God.
The worship of more than one God. He's absolutely correct. Polytheism means you worship more than one God. And we just read from the Satanic Bible that birthday, everybody has a birthday, and on their birthday, they exalt themselves to be a god. That's where the custom came from. It came from an Egyptian custom of crowning the Pharaoh, and they said it was more important than their birth. It was them being born into being a god. Go back to the article if you could.
I'm start at the top of it.
Oh, you can start right where you left off.
Okay, no sweat. It continues to say this spirit kept watch and had a mystic relation with the God on whose birthday that particular individual was born.
So this is a spirit. This spirit, every day somebody is out here celebrating a birthday. And it's getting close to a birthday and this, that, and the third. And this spirit falls on them. This spirit gets them, what did it say? A mystic relation?
Yeah.
A mystic relation.
Yeah.
You know, they out here, a mystic relation. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this is talking about mystical, you know what I'm saying, the bounce back mystical.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying, you bouncing back with a different relationship. You know what I'm saying? This is a satanic relationship. Let's just, you know, like this brother brought out earlier. You have a satanic relationship. And does anybody think that Christ kept birthday? Does Christ want you to celebrate his birthday? Does anybody believe that you should celebrate? What day do people believe is Christ's birthday? Give it a mic.
Christmas.
Christmas. Give her a hand. Now, one more question. Does Christ want you to celebrate Christmas? It's a little tough one. There's no wrong answer.
No.
Give her a hand. Christ does not want you to celebrate Christmas, and we're gonna give me Jeremiah 10:2. Baba Kashab. Hey, lies, hey, lies. Nah, I'm still. We finna jump right back to that.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Thus shall the Lord learn not the way of the heathens.
Learn not the way of what?
Of the heathen.
Learn not the way of the heathen. We just read that one of the ways of the heathens is celebrating birthdays. That came from Egyptian customs, and Egyptians are heathens. Keep going, huh?
And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen.
Hold on right there. Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. Who could tell me what that means? Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. All right, just for time's sake, the signs of heaven are the signs in the sky. If you out there saying, "Hey, I'm a Sagittarius, so I can't sit next to you because you a Capricorn," or you know the moon about to line up with the third sun of the fourth, you know, Ishtar. You know what I'm saying? That's something that that's what they worry about. The heathens worry about those signs. They are dismayed at that. Keep going on.
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
Keep going.
For the customs of the people are vain.
For the customs of the people are what?
Vain.
What does it mean when it says vain? What does vain mean? All right. Anybody want to do a shot? Give it a shot. That's all right. That's okay. Vain. Vain means it has no value. You know, you ever heard somebody being vain? You know, like that's a vain person. You know, they basically are just trying to have the image, but there's no substance to it. Keep going.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest.
All right, now let's listen carefully now. One cutteth a tree out the forest. Keep going.
The work of the hands of the workman with the axe.
So, you got, you know, back in the day before we had mass production of this particular tree, that, you know, on this particular day that everybody celebrates, thinking that it's Christ's birthday, you know, but it says the workman cutteth it down with an axe. You know, now we got, you know, that's back when they had to actually cut it down with a person. Now they, you know, they cut them down in drones with machines and whatnot. Keep going.
They deck it with silver and with gold.
They do what?
They deck it with silver and gold and with gold.
What tree do you deck with silver and gold? Who knows what tree do you deck with silver and with gold? Who's heard that little song? Deck the halls with dum 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 dum. Go ahead. What you got?
Christmas.
Christmas what? What kind of?
Christmas Eve. What?
What?
Tree.
Christmas tree. Give her a hand. Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is the tree that they do what to?
Deck it with silver and with gold.
They decorate it with silver and with gold. The ornaments, the little balls that you put on there that always break, the little lights, that they deck it with silver and with gold. And this is the prophet Jeremiah. This is from the Old Testament. This is an old custom that we carry on to this day. That is a vain custom that has no value, and that we are not supposed to do, because it says, "Go not in the way of the heathen." It says, "Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven." Go ahead, Al.
One more, Shalaka, sir. One more thing that's also important to note is this is before the birth of Christ.
Give him a hand. That is a very crucial point to note. This is before the birth of Christ. So before Christ was even on the scene, because Christ taught the Old Testament, Christ taught the law. So before Christ was even here, we have a testament saying not to follow this custom. We're not going to get into the whole history of Christmas, but it is also the worship of another god. You have Nimrod, and we'll get into that later in the year when we have to teach our people about that custom in particular. So you could drop that. Any more on that, Ak?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going. We're gonna just to solidify that this is that tree.
They fasten it with nails.
They do what?
Fasten it with nails.
They fasten it with nails. So that little, they used to hammer it down with nails, but now they got that little green thing that you put down there and you screw it in, right? So it does. And keep going.
And with hammers, that it move not.
That it move not. They bring it in the house, they fasten it down, and they put it so it don't move. That's a Christmas tree. That's a Christmas tree. Here in the Bible. And it's telling us not to worship it. But you'll go to church and your Christian pastor will have Christmas decorations up.
Ooh-wee.
They'll have Christmas decorations in the church. Because they know that they work for Esau. They are brothers of man. They follow their brother, the devil. And they exalt themselves to be gods because they celebrate birthdays and they follow after all their customs and they follow after those dumb idols. And they follow after the highest satanic tradition. Go ahead, sir.
And so, like, if I may, your Christian pastor, he's gonna have a Christmas offering and a Christmas party right there at the church.
Damn.
With the ham, with the apple in his mouth.
Wow. Right. Get that brother. Because he's absolutely right. Because the Christian pastors are not, they do not follow the law and they are not men of the Lord. And they don't care about you. They don't care if you follow the Lord. They don't care about Christ. They are anti-Christ.
Right.
Better yet. Because what does it mean to be anti? I know nobody wants to say I'm an anti-Christ. You don't hear nobody walking around saying I'm anti-Christ. But more than likely they are the anti-Christ. Because more people don't follow Christ than those that do. And we know this because more people celebrate birthdays and more people celebrate Christmas and more people celebrate Thanksgiving. And if you go against what Christ taught, you are anti-Christ. Anti means to be against. And if you are against what he teaches, you are against Christ. You could drop that out. Go back to the article for me, Baba Kashad. Yeah. I think we had 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we had number 3. I think that's the second one.
Number 3. You can thank Greeks for all those birthday candles.
Wow.
We can thank Greeks for all those birthday candles. And now we're going to get into where the history of the candles comes from. Because you know now, people still put the candles on the birthday cakes. And we think it's about the years of that person being born. Keep going, sir.
Gods and goddesses were a huge part of Greek culture. Greeks offered many tributes and sacrifices to appease these gods.
Greeks offered many tributes and sacrifices to appease these gods. We already read in Deuteronomy 5 that thou shalt have no other gods before me. So, when we put keep going, sir.
The lunar goddess Artemis was no different. As a tribute to her, the Greeks would offer up moon-shaped cakes adorned with lit candles to recreate.
Moon-shaped what, sir?
Moon-shaped cakes.
Moon-shaped cakes with what?
Adorned with lit candles to recreate the glowing radiance of the moon and Artemis' perceived beauty.
Who in here has ever heard of Artemis? I mean, I think they might have a little like women's nail, or don't they got like the little, what is like the Nair or some little hair remover? I don't know. I don't know. They got them commercials, But I feel like I heard it, right? You know what I'm talking about, sis. Yeah, they got a little Artemis and all that. But yeah, well, whoever thought when they had candles on their cake that it was dealing with other guys? None of us. Because like the scriptures say, we were led away by dumb idols. We followed after the traditions of men. And we were brothers to men. And we weren't brothers to Christ. Because Christ told us to not do this. Christ told us to keep the law. We already read, go not in the way of the Gentiles. We already read that the celebration of Christmas is vain. That we are worshiping other gods. Keep going, sir.
The candles also symbolize the sending of a signal or prayer.
A signal or prayer. So every time we are sitting in front of this cake with these candles lit, we are praying to other gods. Unknowingly. Unknowingly, we are praying and signaling other gods. And this angers the Lord. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to add, which you are in clear violation of the 10 Commandments that you oh so cherish.
Right. Hey, right. You hear everybody saying about, the 10 Commandments, the big 10. First off, there's more than 600. Right. More than 600 commandments. But even the 10 can't be kept by people that believe it's only 10. Right. Even the 10 they can't keep. Keep going, sir.
Blowing out the candles with a wish is another way of sending that message to the gods.
Wow. Blowing out the candles with a wish is a way that you send a message to those other guys. And these guys don't exist. There is only one God. That's Yahweh, the God of Israel.
Right.
These guys, you out here sending messages to other guys, and that's just angering the Lord. That's all it does. Because you are following after them. And you know what the Lord does? He gives you Tamir Rice. He gives you Alton Sterling. He lets those devils who you want to follow so much slay you. Until you get the message that you shouldn't be following after them. You shouldn't follow after these other guys. You get beat up by Asians in the nail shop.
Right. So like if I may, they just arrested another mass shooter.
Right. They got mad. Like they shooting up Walmarts. They shooting up the Capitol building. They in the Capitol building killing people. But you go outside and try to sell a cigarette to one of your brothers. You might not make it out alive. But they can do mass killings. Mass shootings. And we don't believe that the Lord is telling us something. We just want to keep following them. We just want to keep on following them and keep on following after their customs that we just read was satanic. Because we know that they are the devil. The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
And they are out here deceiving our people every day. Keep going, sir.
Well, that was it for number 3. We'll go to number 4.
Baba Kasha.
Number 4. Birthdays first started as a form of protection.
So birthdays first started out. Now we're going into birthdays. We started out with the first noted birthday, which was Pharaoh being crowned and becoming a god. But then now we're going to go into the celebration of birthdays as a whole. Go ahead, sir.
Con. It is assumed that the Greeks adopted the Egyptian tradition of celebrating the birth of a god.
The birth of a what?
A god.
Of a what?
A god.
The birth of a god. Every time you celebrate a birthday, you are celebrating an Egyptian tradition of the birth of a god. An Egyptian tradition. That is an African tradition.
Right.
And Africans are out here right now sticking their face in cow's booty and bathing in cow urine.
Right.
That's what we following after. We following after them. They traditions.
Man.
Keep going.
They, like many other pagan cultures, thought that days of major change, such as these birthdays, welcomed evil spirits.
They thought that days of major change, such as these birthdays, welcomed evil spirits. So they thinking like, hey, you know, some evil spirits is in the midst. These days, evil spirits is in the midst. Keep going, sir. It says they, like many other pagan cultures, and we just went into what pagan means, these polytheistic cultures, believing in many gods. We already read about Artemis, the lunar god. If you're out here believing in Artemis, you are going to be destroyed.
They lit candles in response to these spirits, almost as if they represented a light in the darkness.
They lit candles to represent a light in the darkness. And what does everybody do when they light the candles? What do you do when you light the candles? Go ahead. Give it a mic, please.
Make a wish and blow them out.
You make a wish and blow them out? That's right. But what do you do before you make the wish and you blow them out? Something you do to the whole room.
Sing happy birthday.
Yeah. You do
And turn the lights out.
Turn the lights off. Give her a hand. They turn the lights off. They turn the lights off. And it just said, what did it say, sir? If you could.
Come. They lit candles in response to these spirits, almost as if they represented a light in the darkness.
The light in the darkness. So we don't actively think that we are doing something with evil spirits and worshiping another god, but we are doing all of the things that they have lined up for us to do. And that's a reason that we are still in captivity in this place. That's a reason that angers the Lord. And we anger the Lord, we are trying to please the Lord so that He gets us out, get the hell out of this captivity.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about our brothers dying from drug overdoses, getting shot by the cops, growing old in prisons. Like, when we gonna care enough about each other to, like, how hard is it not to eat pork and not celebrate a birthday?
Right.
Like, do you love celebrating this birthday more than you love your brother, getting your brother out of jail? Like, keep going, sir. Bible show.
Come. This implies that birthday celebrations started as a form of protection.
This implies birthday celebrations started, so they were lighting the candles, we already know when you blow it out, it says you're making a wish to other guys. So they wishing for something from other guys, they got the candles to protect them in the darkness, they doing all this, and we reading in the scriptures where it says, do not put any other guys before me. And they, we already done racked up about 3, 4, 5 guys they done put before the Lord already.
In addition to candles, friends and family would gather around the birthday person and protect them from harm with good cheers, thoughts, and wishes.
In addition to candles, they get them around good cheer, thoughts, and wishes. And we all thought that was what it was about. We thought that we was doing the right thing. Not knowing the whole time we angering the Lord. We over there trying to be merry and good cheer. Good cheer. The Lord wants you to cheer when he destroyed the Egyptians.
Right.
That's what he wants you to cheer about. Because they put you in slavery. They put you in slavery to work for them in bondage. Why are we going to celebrate their customs when they enslaved us? And the Lord wants us to celebrate him destroying them. Keep going, sir, if you could. Number 5, Dr. Shah.
Number 5, the ancient Romans were the first to celebrate the birth of the common man.
Okay, the ancient Romans. The ancient Romans. I think weren't the Romans the ones that was persecuting Christ?
Right.
Didn't Israelites flee into West Africa evading Roman persecution? But the Romans were the first to celebrate the birth of the common man, which means they made it for everybody. He's like, we can get everybody to do this. We can get everybody to do this. And what do we do? What happens on somebody's birthday? What do you get them? Give it a mic. Bob Kashab. What do you get people on their birthday?
Presents.
Presents. Give her a hand. And hold on. And one more. Where do you get the presents from? Wait.
Stores.
The stores. Give them a hand. Give her a hand. And you know who owns these stores? The white man. The white man. You go into Walmart to get the presents. And you know who gets that money for those presents? The Walton family.
Right.
The Walton family cashes out every time it's somebody's birthday, which is every day. Every day. They got you celebrating other guys and paying them, and then they use all of that to oppress you even further. They use the money and proceeds they gain. They already know you angering the Lord. They know that the Lord is not with them, because they know what the scriptures are saying. They know that they are the Gentiles. They know that they are the heathen. They know that they are that man of sin that must be revealed. So they just biding their time. They just waiting. But while they trying to just keep it going, they're gonna get you to buy those toys and piss off the Lord every time. Keep going.
Come. The government, however, created public holidays in honor of more famous citizens.
So that's our Martin Luther King Day. That's your George Washington Day. These are the more famous citizens. This goes back to Romans. These are Roman customs. We don't, nobody, I don't even know, what's some other day? They got JFK Day. Is that a day? Yeah.
That's not that.
Give it a mic, Bobby Shot.
Oh, no, I don't want
Christopher Columbus Day.
Christopher Columbus Day. Right, Christopher Columbus Day. What other days we got?
President's Day.
President's Day. They just grouped all of them into one day. They just said presidents. What's some other days? I know people got some more. I know you got Veterans Day.
Independence Day.
Independence Day. How are we gonna celebrate Independence Day and we are in captivity? What are we independent from? We filling up the prisons. We out here dying in the streets. What are we independent from? St. Patty's Day. Like we brought out. Who? Keep going.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Sweeties Day. What you got?
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. Give her a hand. Okay, how can we forget Mother's Day? Mother's Day. Father's Day.
Trade Day.
Trump Day.
Nah, Trade Day.
Trade Day.
They got Trade Day in Houston. That's local.
Oh, right. They got local day, trade day. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's just endless. We could be here all night just saying these days. Like, we probably forgotten so many. Which ones? What you got? Easter, right? Which is the worship of Ishtar.
Right.
First of all, I got another question for you. How do bunnies make more bunnies? How do bunnies make more bunnies? Where do bunnies come from? You want to try, Kaya? Go ahead, try. Where do baby bunnies come from?
They come from the mama's bunny.
Come from the mama bunny. Okay, all right. We'll take that. We'll take that. They don't come from eggs. That's what I'm glad I didn't hear that. Because you know, they got our kids running around hunting for Easter eggs. Hunting for Easter eggs that bunnies done laid. The Cadbury egg. Bunnies don't even lay eggs. You know? Right. It's a lot. Keep going, sir.
God. Any Roman turning 50 years old will receive a special cake baked with wheat flour, olive oil, grated cheese, and honey.
Any Roman turning 50. Now, you know, that cake sound kind of nasty right now. Yeah, but back then, they was probably slamming them things. You know, they got cheese on it, grated cheese, and some, but you know, the honey, they threw a little honey on it. But they got, you know, once they hit 50, they get their cake. You know, they get their cake. The wheat is baked with wheat and flour and olive oil. So, you know, this is another ancient Roman tradition that we celebrate to this day. Keep going, sir.
God. But an important thing to note is that only men would experience this birthday celebration.
Only men celebrate. So back then, they held fast to, like, you know, women can't be guys. You know, even though in today's society you hear them saying that you know, what's polite them, you know, they walk up saying the black woman is God. You know, everything comes, and that's them trying to appeal to our women. Right. Appeal to our women, because that's so biblical, because it goes all the way back to Eve. It goes all the way back to how the serpent beguiled Eve, saying that she could have the knowledge of good and evil. She could be like God. And they feed that garbage to our women to this day. They feed that garbage. That's why our women have birth pains. That's why they travail at birth. That's why we're going through the curses. That's why Cain killed Abel. That's why white people exist. Like, get that, like, think about that for a second. If our women would have obeyed the Lord, white people would not exist. Keep going, huh?
God. Female birthdays were not celebrated until about the 12th century.
So, you know, later they recognize, you know what, we missing out on some money. We missing out on, you know, we gotta ring tangle that in. Keep going, sir. If you could, go to number 6, Bible shut. For example, hey, hold that, sir, about slide. Let me get John chapter 15, verse 10. Let's understand about how to be a brother to Christ. Because we already see, we see what it meant to be a brother to the white man, to the satanic Bible. But let's see how you're a brother of Christ.
John chapter 15, verse 10. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love.
If you keep this, what color are these letters?
Red.
This is Christ speaking. If you keep the commandments, you abiding in the love of Christ. If you keep the commandments, keep going.
Even as I have kept my Father's commandments.
Even as I have kept my Father's commandments. So right there, Christ is saying he didn't celebrate Christmas, which was before he was born. He didn't celebrate birthdays. He didn't celebrate those holidays of the Gentiles. You want to abide in the Lord? You want to be a brother to Christ? You want to abide in his love? Keep the commandments, just like he kept the commandments. All right, I dropped that. Go ahead, son. If you could.
Number 6, birthdays were first considered to be a pagan ritual in Christian culture.
Good night. Birthdays were first considered to be a pagan ritual in Christian culture. Now we're getting into Christianity, Christian culture, not following Christ, but Christian culture.
In Christianity, it is believed that all people are born with original sin. That, in combination with early birthdays being tied to pagan gods, led Christians to consider birthdays to be celebrations of evil.
So, early Christianity, early on, they was like, hey, this is some paganism right here. You know, this is some celebration of evil. You know, keep going, sir.
Come. This lasted for the first few hundred years of the existence of the Christian church.
So, but for the first few hundred years, it lasted, but then they started to dial it down a little bit. It didn't last no longer. Christianity eventually said, you know what, you can celebrate birthdays. You can think yourself up as a god, because Christianity was used by the white man to conquer the whole damn world. The Crusades, Manifest Destiny.
Right.
They literally conquered. They kept pushing westward through America, slaying our brothers, the native Indians, slaying our brothers, the Mexicans. They took Mexico, turned it into Texas and California, and then had the audacity to build a wall and tell them y'all can't get in here.
Right.
Y'all can't get in here. Y'all are. You know how what Trump say, shithole country. These other countries, they literally take the land and then talk about them. Right. Keep going, sir. About what's up.
Come. It wasn't until the 4th century that Christians abandoned that way of thinking and began celebrating the birth of Jesus, also known as Christmas.
Also known as Christmas. We just read about Christmas, right? We just read that it was a vain custom. We just read that they cut the tree out the forest and they bring it in the house, and then they deck it with silver and with gold, and then they fasten it so that it can't move. And that is a vain custom of following other gods. And it says, and began celebrating the birth of Jesus, also known as Christmas. And we also read where birthdays came up from the Egyptians, the Pharaoh being crowned and considering himself a god. You know, look, what's that precept of why callest thou me good? Yeah, pull that for me if you could. You know, even Christ didn't consider himself a god. So why would Christ want you to celebrate his birthday? If we just read, if you keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. We just read it. Christ kept the commandments. So why would Christ want you to not keep the commandments when he's telling you, if you keep the commandments, you abide in my love? You a brother to Christ if you keep the commandments. You a brother to other gods and men if you disobey them. Go ahead.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 18, verse 19. And Yahushua said unto him, why callest thou me good? None is good, save one, that is the power.
None is good but the Most High. This is Christ talking. Christ said, why are you calling me good? Because they ran up and told, and you know, a rich boy ran up and asked him, good master, hey, what can I do so that I can get eternal life? What can I do to make it into the kingdom? Good master. And he's like, why are you calling me good? And there's none good but the Most High. That don't sound like a man that wants you to celebrate his birthday and call him a god. He's like, you can't even call him good. He ain't even say, don't even call me good. Keep going, sir. Bible shot. Go on.
Celebrating the birth of Jesus was partly enacted to recruit those who already celebrated Saturnalia, the Roman holiday.
So they said celebrating the birth of Jesus was partly enacted to recruit those who already celebrated a Roman holiday called Saturnalia. So they're trying to recruit people to celebrate these holidays. This has nothing to do about following the Lord. They trying to get you to, they recruiting you. That's a man recruiting you to follow after himself. They getting us to follow after them with these ways of the heathens. And we anger the Lord by doing it. The Lord wants us to rule the earth.
Right.
The Lord, he gave us the go. He separated us in the garden. We had the Garden of Eden where it's like we all good. Hey, he was like, hey, do y'all thing. Just don't go over there and deal and follow after their ways. They the heathens. They the people on the outside. But them, you know, like we said earlier, the serpent came and beguiled Eve. You know, like, you could be like God. You could know you could have the knowledge of good and evil. She's like, you know what? I could have the knowledge of good and evil. I could be God. You know, it was like an episode of Girlfriends for a second. And you know what? I can do it too. You know what?
Independent.
INDEP. You know what that means.
Destruction.
Right. Destruction. That's what it means. Because that knowledge of good and evil, we had the knowledge of good by being in the garden. But that knowledge of evil was she had one son murder her other son. Now you know how it feels to be a mother that lost a son and have and be a mother with your only living son is a murderer. That's the knowledge of evil. Now you got the knowledge of being out the garden. Now you got the knowledge of all that. Now you got the knowledge of dealing with the curses, which is what we all have the knowledge of today. That's the knowledge of evil. Any more on that, sir?
Nah, that was it.
Let me get the book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 19. Because we're gonna understand what Christ said, who his brothers was. Christ said that a certain type of people are his brothers. You got that out? 8 and 19.
Luke chapter 8, verse 19. Then came to him his mother and his brethren.
Hey, Slock, jump up one verse.
Luke chapter 8, verse 18. Take heed therefore how ye hear. For whosoever hath to him shall be given, and whosoever hath not, for him shall be taken even that which he seemed to have. 19. Then came to him his mother and his brethren, and could not come at him for the press.
So his mother and his brother came, and they couldn't get to him because he was teaching. He was on the streets teaching. So they couldn't get to him at the time. Keep going.
And it was told him by certain which said, Thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to see thee. So
then it was told to him by one of the people that was there that seen his mother and his brother. Hey, your mama and your brother over there. They looking for you. They trying to talk to you. They without him. He's with the people that he's teaching, and they just come up and they were trying to speak to him. Keep going.
And he answered and said unto them, My mother and my brethren are these which hear the word of God and do it.
Which do what?
My mother and my brethren are these which hear the word of God and do it.
Which do what?
And do it.
Which hear the word of God and do it. Yeah, 12. Which my mother and my brother are these which hear the word of God and do it. Not just so basically it's saying you can't just have this Bible in the church pew and come every church and sing some songs and think that you following Christ. He said, my mother and my brother are the which hear the word of God and do it. That's his family. The family of Christ are those that do what he said, that do what the Lord said, that hear the Lord and do it. Not just anybody out here, not just the people that you're born to. This is his mother, Mary, who they love the Christians and Catholics love to worship. Christ telling you right there, like, hey, that's not even my mama. Christ is telling you right now that that's not my mama. But you walking around with a chain of his mama, of his physical mother, and Christ didn't even stop teaching. They said, hey, your mama is over there with your brother, and he said, hey, my family hears the word of God and they do it. So if you want to be a brother to Christ, you keep the law. You keep the law. If you want to be a brother to man, celebrate St. Patty's Day and birthdays and Christmas and Thanksgiving and President's Day and JFK Day and Martin Luther King Day and all them days. You got a question?
No, New Year's Day.
New Year, right. New Year's. How we forget about New Year's? You know, how it's a new year and everything is freezing outside?
Right.
What's new? Ain't nothing new but the coat you gotta get. Any questions? Give it a mic. Check and see if we got any questions online if you could.
Is drinking my own blood bad?
Say it again?
Is drinking my own blood bad?
Is drinking your own blood bad? Okay. I wasn't expecting that one, but you know, let's address it. I mean, are you talking about like if you got a cut and you lick it a little bit, or if you talking about like you cutting yourself and dripping it into the cup? What you talking? Go ahead. Which one you talking about? Give it a mic.
Like give me yourself a cut.
If you cut your blood and lick it, that's okay. You okay? You know, I would wash it off personally. Don't get right. I don't know if you get a cut, just wash it. You know. I mean, there's no law saying if you lick a little blood, you know. But to my understanding, you know. But don't cut yourself on purpose. Don't cut yourself and don't drink it. Okay? And don't do it with that. Don't drink any animals' blood and any other people's blood and none of that. You had something, sis? Yeah, go ahead.
And the reason you don't do that, the reason you don't cut yourself, because that is harming your temple. You know what I'm saying? That's causing harm to your temple. And that is a sin. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you don't do things that's gonna hurt you. You know what I'm saying? And what you're doing could be considered a ritual and serving another God. So
Right.
that's what this whole class was about, not serving other gods. So don't harm yourself and don't be drinking blood. But if it's to help you, if you're cutting yourself and you want to stop, if you got cut or something you failed and you want to stop the bleeding or something like that, that's fine, because that's taking care of yourself. That's trying to preserve your life. That's all.
Hey, give your brother a hand. And I mean, there's obviously certain instances. You don't have to worry about it now. I'm not a licensed doctor or anything, but I think you got to make a tracheotomy or something like that, or you might have to cut yourself, but you don't have to lick it ever.
Right.
You don't have to lick it. I mean, they did say I think you used to get a snake bite that you would suck the venom out. I don't know if people are still doing that.
Yeah.
I don't think I would do it. Don't play with snakes. That's not our customs either. Any other questions? Let me check on okay. And with that, pay your tithes to the men of the Lord. You know, Commander General Yohana is not, he is not one of these other, you know, fake Israelite groups that's gonna use the tithes money to fund teaching Africans and raising up homosexuals and sodomites. You know, he's out here feeding people every day, clothing people, housing people. He's not your TD Jakes. He's not buying a Rolls Royce. He's not buying a Learjet. We got the 52nd annual Passover coming up. You know, in Houston, Texas. What's it, 149 Player Street? Come serve the Lord. Come celebrate the Lord's Passover. You know, celebrate the destruction of our enemies. The Lord destroying our enemies. Because that's pleasing to the Lord. The Lord wants us to reign over everybody. Because in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, if we do what the Lord says, then we will rule above all the nations. If we don't do what he says, then we are going to be beneath all the nations. And where are we right now?
At the bottom.
We are at the bottom. When are we going to want to be at the top? That's all it's about. When are we going to stop following after these dumb heathens and Gentiles and be at the top? Because it's going to happen, because the scripture says it's going to happen. Us being in the kingdom of heaven is just like, you see, they got regular white people too. You know, like regular white, you got white people, you got the Trumps and the Hilton families that's just global, owning everything. But then you just got regular white people with a mansion and 3 cars and a boat. They in their kingdom. You know? And the Lord wants you to serve him, and he wants you to have a higher place in the kingdom. He wants you, everybody's gonna get what the work they put in. Everybody's gonna get what they do. And with that, I'm gonna pass the class over to Priest and Officer Ron.
We are the ISUPK starting out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York.
Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school,
They are off limits.
for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it.
After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, out of the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Means 10th of the Hebrew, Mayasharah. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations is the Passover, which is the 14th day of the first month, which is Saturday, April 24th, 2021, out of the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1 through 51, Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 4 through 5, 1 Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 7 through 8, and 2 Chronicles, chapter 30, verse 17. And also following the Passover is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the 15th day of the first month, for 7 days, which is Sunday, April 25th, until Sunday, May 2nd, 2021, at sundown. Out of the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 17 through 20, and Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 6 through 8. If anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And those are the security announcements. We got one more announcement. Brothers and sisters, Google search the school and request directions prior to departure. Once arrived, click the website button and also call the Google number. If you have pictures, you can upload them there. And that concludes all announcements.
And with that, Amadia, which means to stand. Sar, you're going to face the east. Say the Lord's Prayer, first in Hebrew and then in English. Abanawa,
Abanawa,
Shabbat Shemayim,
Shabbat Shemayim,
Quadash,
Quadash,
Hayah,
Hayah,
Shemka,
Shemka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Malakukah,
Malakukah,
Taba'a,
Taba'a,
Ratazaka,
Ratazaka,
Hayah,
Hayah,
Aisha,
Aisha,
Ba'aratazak,
Ba'aratazak,
Kawa,
Kawa,
Ayah,
Ayah,
Bashamayim,
Bashamayim,
Natalanawa,
Nathanawa,
Lakam,
Lakam,
Call,
Yawam,
Yawam, Wasalak Noah,
Wasalaknawa,
Kabawat Noah,
Kabawatnawa,
Kasalak Noah,
Kasalaknawa,
Kabawatnia,
Kabawatnawa,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Taba'ay Noah,
Dabainawa,
Banashaiwan,
Banasayawan,
Abal,
Abal,
Hawashayano,
Hawashayanaw,
Mayan,
Mayan,
Rod,
Rod,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Laka,
Laka,
Hamalakwa,
Hamalakwa,
Wahala,
Wahala,
Wahata Para,
Wahata Para,
La'awalam,
Laima Lamim,
Aman.
Aman,
In the English, Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom come.
thy kingdom
Thy
come,
will be done
thy will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily bread,
and forgive us
and forgive
our
us
debts
our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
Lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the
For
kingdom,
thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
Son, going to do a courtesy salute to the brothers, men of Israel. Martin Shabbat, Majin, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakatah, Yazmatah, Saw. Courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel. Martin Shabbat, Majin, Barak, Yahweh Shema Allah Ba'ashem Yahushua,
Yahweh Shema Elokai B'Hashem Yahushua.
Yazmatah. Dismiss.
Please hold our talk until we finish the Passover commercial.
Shalom. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakatah. Yahweh Shema L'Adam Ba'ashem Yahushua to the sisters. I'm President Captain Yatazak with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, telling you to come out to the 52nd annual Passover under Commanding General Yohana. Yeah, man, it's going to be at the ranch, man, the BH Ranch. And it's going to be a glorious event. April 24th, come out, come to Houston, Texas, where we're going to serve the Lord the way he's supposed to be served. You understand? We're going to celebrate the destruction of our enemy in the BH Ranch, and it's going to be a glorious event. Make sure you come out, man. It's going to be a $200 fee to get in, but let me tell you something. You're going to enjoy yourself. This is going to be the best event you've ever been to in your life. So I'm going to tell you, man, 1414 9 Player Street, come out, man, and enjoy the brotherhood and sisterhood under Christ. With that, shalom.